Hey everyone, and welcome back. So now it's time to look at the new Nintendo Switch games for this week. And I've got a great list of 12 games that I think we should take a deeper look at. But not only that, I've also got one game that I think we should be wary of for this week because I've tried the demo and I wasn't super impressed. So if you are looking at picking up that game, I definitely think you should wait for a review to come out. So now let's jump into the games, and don't forget, if you are liking the video, to hit that like button. So now for our first game for today, we have a game releasing on March 4th. So by the time you're watching this video, most likely the game will already be available. And that is Carmen Sandiego. Now, if you don't know, this used to be a TV show in the 90s, all about geographical trivia. And basically, you're trying to find a hidden spy called Carmen Sandiego. Now, this is the game version of that concept, however, redone for 2025. Now, the game will be available in multiple different pricing segments. Now, the base game will be available for $29.99. However, there will be a deluxe version with an art book, a soundtrack, and some exclusive DLC that will also be available for $49.99. However, there is a pre-release discount of 20% off, dropping it to $39.99, which actually is a pretty decent discount. So if you are looking at picking up the deluxe version and you have confidence that the game's going to be good without needing a review, it might actually be a good idea to pick it up right now. By the way, it is being done by the same team that did Disney Dream Valley. So, personally, I'm not a huge fan of Disney Dream Valley, but I at least know that the game is done with quality and that it's a very functional and fun game for those who enjoy those type of games. So let's take a look at the trailer and see what this game has to offer. And by the way, as I say in every video, if the trailers do get muted, they will be linked down below. Sometimes for copyright reasons, I do have to mute the trailers.
The next flight to New Orleans.
So it'll still be a trivia-based game from what we can see in here. But there seems to be a little bit more of an exploration puzzle-solving aspect to the gameplay rather than straightforward trivia. I think if you're looking for a fun, educational type game to play with your kids, this could maybe be a game to consider. So there we have it. Now, I do think that the biggest challenge for this game is that the target audience that remembers the show most likely probably outgrew this game. And the current audience that it's targeting, which is, I feel like, a younger audience, probably doesn't know Carmen Sandiego. So I don't know if the game's going to find the footing it's looking for, but I still think it's a really interesting offering for this week. And I like the evolution of the series, like taking that trivia gameplay and transforming it more into like an adventure puzzle type of gameplay. So we have Carmen Sandiego hitting on March 4th. Think it's a very notable game for this week. Now, let's jump into our next release, which is Everhood 2, which is also releasing on March 4th, so most likely it'll already be available when you're watching the video. And this game will be releasing at a flat $20. Now, this is an action RPG. However, it is one where you battle to rhythm. So it's a rhythm-based action RPG. And it's the follow-up to the first Everwood, which was received pretty well on multiple consoles, so Steam and the Switch. So I do have a decent amount of confidence that this game will deliver a fun experience. Now, does it evolve the first game and does it really break new ground? That will be left to be seen. But I do think that if you enjoyed the first game, if you're into action RPGs with a special twist, especially if you're into the rhythm type of gameplay, keep your eye out for this one for this week. Let's take a look at the trailer and see what the game has to offer. I think the visuals are a take it or leave it type of feeling. Either you're going to love this type of visual or it's going to annoy you. Personally, I'm on the enjoy side. I enjoy this type of visual, especially the combat rhythm sections. Whether you like it or you hate it, you have to admit, though, that they went all in their visual artistic style, and you've got to respect the game developers for that. And like I said, I think that for the proper audience, it's going to work. So there we have it. We have Everhood that is releasing on Everhood 2 that is releasing on March 4th. Once again, mix of action RPG and rhythm gameplay. In my opinion, a definite notable game. $20 release price is also a fair price. I would have maybe seen this one more around the $15 mark personally, just because of its very heavy retro art style. But nonetheless, I do think that they went for a fair price at $20, although maybe not one that would have helped hit a more broader audience. Now, we do have one last game left for March 4th, so once again, will most likely be available by the time you're watching this video, and that is Heroes of Loot Gauntlet of Power, another follow-up to an existing game on the Switch. This is a twin-stick shooter that has a room-based design. I've got to say, it is one of my front runners for this week. I do think this game will be very interesting. I have confidence because the first game had a pretty good reception. The only thing is it is based off of a mobile game. So I am a little bit worried that the controls will not be as precise as they would need to be. But if they are, it could turn out to be a very good game. Now, this one, by the way, will be releasing on March 4th, as I said, and will be selling for $13.99. So it has a pretty decent release price as well, more on the budget spectrum of things. So now let's take a look at the trailer, and I think you might get you might find the gameplay quite appealing if you do enjoy that retro pixel art style. Some of these rooms look crazy small, though, so I'm always wondering if it's actually going to work out. Like I said, personally, I really enjoy the visual style. I like also, by the way, which separates this from the previous game, is you do actually have different playable heroes instead of the same hero all the time. And I think it's going to add the variety to the gameplay that this game needed. Like I said, it's just some of that claustrophobia in the very small rooms. I wonder how that's going to play out in the final game. So there we have Heroes of Loot, Gauntlet of Power. I think if you're looking for a challenging twin-stick shooter, this one could be a very interesting pickup for this week. Once again, also in its favor is its budget price point. Like I said, it's only $13.99, so it's actually a pretty decent game in my opinion, or to take a look at for this week. Next, we have actually now this one was a front runner, but the next game we're going to take a look at is one of my top 2 games for this week. And that is Alruna and the Necro-Industrialist, that is releasing on March 5th and will be selling for $11.99. Now, this is a Metroidvania, but what really drew me into this game, and I think that I haven't really seen a game that has quite this, is the visual art style. This game drew me in with its visual art style, and we're actually going to be looking at 2 separate trailers for it because the trailers are fairly short, about 30 seconds apiece. But I did find 2 different trailers to get even more like a better look at the overall gameplay. And I've got to say, visually, this game hits home with me. There's no better way to say it. Like it really hits home with me. I love the retro art style in this one, and it automatically shot it up to one of my top 2 games for this week. By the way, it'll be selling for $11.99, so it's also once again at that budget price point where if the gameplay can manage to be good, it'll definitely be worth a pickup. Like, there seems to be a heavy influence on the puzzle aspect. And I love how big the sprite is compared to the levels. So like I said, fairly short trailer, but the visual art style is absolutely fantastic. Now we're going to take a quick look at the second trailer that I have for this. And I also love the name, the necro-industrialist. Definitely looks like a game that's going to have a very quirky storyline. I would like to stream this game. However, I don't think I'll have the time because even though this is one of the front runners for this week, there is one game that has me even more interested than this one. And I strongly think we're going to be streaming the other game for this week. But just in case, this one could be a very close second runner-up. So if I do have time to stream more than one game this week on top of like the PS5 streams that I had promised, this one could be a very strong contender for this week. But definitely Alruna and the Necro-Industrialist, if you like the visual art style that you just saw, keep an eye out for this one. I have the sneaky suspicion it's going to turn out to be a pretty fun game. I love that chunky art, that chunky sprite art style. And overall, I haven't seen it yet done in a Metroidvania format, so very excited about this one. Okay, next we come to what's probably going to be the biggest release for this week for most people out there. And that is Suikoden I and II HD Remaster, Gate Rune, and the Dunan Unification Wars. Now, could they find a longer title? I do not think so. But basically, these are remasters of 2 of the best strategy RPGs from the PS1 era. I'm pretty sure it's PS1. I'd be very surprised if Suikoden 2 was PS2. I'm almost sure that both of them came out on the PS1. I'm sure that the original Suikoden did. But basically, if you pick up these games, I do want to warn you, get ready for hundreds of hours of gameplay. Okay? So if you jump into this, this is going to be a deep dive game. However, the storyline is so good that it will draw you in. So if you are a JRPG fan, be careful before picking up this one. You just might lose the next 6 months of your life to this series if you get into the storyline. Let's take a look The art style is beautiful. The remaster looks like it's very well done. And I'm glad to see Konami finally, once again, now I know they've been doing it now for about a year, but finally reviving these classic franchises that deserve to be highlighted once again.
HD remasters of the first 2 Suikoden games are coming to Nintendo Switch in one bundle. Meet and befriend up to 108 allies in these turn-based RPGs. During your travels, you can strengthen your home base.
Like the level of personalization and different characters that you can get in this game is insane.
Features like the ability to speed up combat and automate battles with a single button. Suikoden I and II HD Remaster, Gate Rune, and Dunan Unification Wars launches on Nintendo Switch March 6th, 2025.
And there we have it. It is an absolutely fantastic series. There are longer trailers available out there, but I do think that this trailer highlights the best parts of this gameplay. It is a turn-based, they say it's a turn-based RPG. I honestly want to let you know there's also a very strong strategy component, because like I said, like they said in the trailer, there's over 108 different characters available. So it's not only a turn-based RPG, there's also a huge strategy component to this gameplay. And you need to get into it because there's it's all about different wars and things like that. So there are heavy strategy components as well. But trust me, if you want a very deep, amazing storyline, and you can handle the fact that these are PS1 games in their visual presentation and their way of doing storytelling, these are games that will hit home with you immediately. Great games. They're being released for $49.99. But I've just got to say, the quantity of gameplay you're getting here for $49.99 is amazing. And trying to find original versions of these games, trust me, would cost you way more than that. So getting both of them for $49.99, releasing on March 6th, this is going to be a great release for this week. And like I said, for most people, this is this week's biggest release. Next, we're going to still stay on March 6th. We have Golden Warden coming out. Now, Golden Warden is going to be a strategy roguelite with a card-based battle system. Now, we got a lot of these on the Nintendo Switch, but what I love about this one is it has an extremely budget price point of $9.99, with currently a pre-release discount of $1, so you can get it for $8.99. And I do find that although the visuals are extremely simple, they seem nonetheless very appealing. And the combat system itself, although we can't exactly determine how you get new cards and all that from the trailer, does seem evolved enough where it's going to create a very fun and quick to play gameplay style. And that's what I like about these card games. They need to be quick to play, easy to jump into, and I think this game is going to have those components. Now, you might want to wait for a review for this one to make sure that the gameplay is up to snuff, but if it is, I do think that this one will be a very fun pickup for a budget price point for this week. The art style is once again, you're either going to love it or hate it. If you're going to love it, you're going to really love it a lot. I really enjoy these funky retro art styles. So let's take a look at the trailer. So it's like linear, you need to progress to the end, but you need to strategize your movements based on the cards you're drawing. So there seems to be boss fights, like you see there, they foreshadow a boss fight, but they actually hide it, so you don't actually see what's happening. Balatro 2. I don't think this is exactly going to be a Balatro 2, but it has that spirit. Very minimal visuals, but fun card-based gameplay. And I've got to say, Balatro opened the door to all these games. Since Balatro's success, I think we're seeing a lot more card-based games and a lot more developers taking the chance to make card-based gameplay. And I think it's a good thing because it's one of those things that are very can be very easy to execute well and can offer an extremely fun experience. And I do think Golden Warden is one to check out for this week. Keep your eye on this one. If you are a fan of like Balatro and card-based gameplay, I think this one could be a surprise hit. Next we have probably one of the funkiest games for this week, like one of the weirdest games, and that is Sorry We're Closed. That is also releasing on March 6th. However, this one has somewhat of a pricey price point for an indie game. It's going to be releasing for $24.99. Now, there is currently a pre-release discount, dropping it to $22.49, but I am wondering if the gameplay is going to be worth it at that price point. To me, the biggest question mark about this game is going to be that price point. It is basically a single-player survival horror game where you basically have to survive. It's sort of a mix of Resident Evil, a retro-styled Resident Evil beats first-person shooter almost. So let's take a look at the trailer. I think the trailer is going to speak for itself in this one. It's very hard to explain the gameplay because of how sort of special it is. Let's take a look at the trailer and then we'll talk about it after. I love the use of neon colors, however. I think it really works for the overall type of gameplay. It has a very heavy PS1 vibe to it in its visuals and blockiness. Now this one is has a very good chance of being muted because the music I think will be copyrighted. Once again, quick reminder, link down below if you want to check out the trailer with the original music.
Well, we are going up and down like a seesaw. Got me going along for the ride, got me going yeehaw.
Like I said, the gameplay though seems funky, crazy, but just crazy enough to be good. And this boss fight is pure Resident Evil. This is pure PS1 Resident Evil type of boss fights. On a train, being chased by a huge monster, needing to shoot it. You're right, it does remind me of the cat game where you kill unicorns. I think it was Gore something. But maybe not as crazy as that game. So there we have Sorry We're Closed. Like I said, probably one of the funkiest titles for this week. I think it has one of the highest up and down sides, meaning that if the gameplay delivers, it could turn out to be a really amazing game. However, I am worried about some of the gameplay looking a little bit janky as well. But definitely one to, if you're that kind of player that likes the funky game for each week, this could be high on your list. My only problem, like I said, is the price point. I think the $24.99 price point is going to be a big barrier for a unknown entity. And it's asking for a lot, especially in a gameplay style that is so funky. However, if it gets some good reviews, it gets some exposure, it could nonetheless be an excellent pickup. And I would wait around for a review or two, however. Okay, next. We jump into our next game, which is going to be Go Fight Fantastic. Now, this game is going to be releasing also on March 6th. It'll be selling for $14.99. However, currently it has a pre-release discount, dropping it to $13.49. Now, this is a 1 to 3 person hack and slash game Once again, though, it has a beautifully hand-drawn visual art style. And I think if you're looking for a casual co-op game for this week, this is going to be actually a great consideration. So let's take a look at the gameplay trailer once again, and I think the game will just sell itself if you're into this type of gameplay. So number one, the art style is gorgeous. It works out really well. And like I said, I think it's going to be more of a casual game that will really needs to be played in multiplayer. And it's fun to have these casual games come out from now and then, especially for, like I said, if you're looking for something to play with a friend in couch co-op. I still think you can have some fun with this one in single player mode, but I do think it's a game that is primarily going to be geared towards someone looking for some fun co-op. I do think maybe it's going to become repetitive if you're on your own, which won't happen with a friend because you'll have that sort of dynamic of playing through the game as a duo. So Go Fight, fantastic. Another great pickup for this week. I also love its price. I find that $14.99 feels like a really nice sweet spot for this one. They're not going overpriced with it. They're not going underpriced with it. And it can be an easy pickup for someone taking a chance for this week and wanting to try out a multiplayer game. Okay, next. That brings us to Mainframes that is also releasing once again on March 6th. March 6th is like the big day for this week, like a lot of releases on March 6th. Now, this game is going to be selling for $12.99. I'm also really liking this week's list because there's a lot of budget picks for this week. Now, Mainframes is a puzzle platformer. This, however, looks like more of a challenging puzzle platformer. But let's take a look at the trailer. It's once again one of those games where the gameplay is going to speak for itself. You're either going to love what you're going to see or you're going to hate it once again. Retro art style, puzzle platformer with a very original gameplay style. It's like you're playing through an old Windows PC. The Arcade crew also generally develops some pretty good games. So I would say they're a developer that generally you can trust that their gameplay will feel solid and it's not going to be a buggy or problematic game. Now I'm wondering some of the platforming, how you're actually going to control things. But I love the fact that you're like playing through an old 90s computer. So there we have Mainframes. Like I said, once again, a puzzle platformer for this week. I'm also trying to diversify the lists each week to pick a little bit of a game in each different kind of gameplay style without focusing on too many in the same style. And I think that if you are a puzzle platformer fan, the game can definitely deliver something fun for this week. Like I said, the Arcade crew generally always delivers good products. And once again, I'm loving the budget price point of $12.99. It feels like it's going to be a good price point for this type of game. Now, next, that brings us to what's probably going to be my top game for this week. It is the front runner for our stream on Friday. It is 90% sure that this is the game we're going to be playing. One of my viewers mentioned it earlier in the chat. We are talking about Twilight Monk. Now, Twilight Monk is a game that is coming out, like I said, on March 6th as well. It is going to be selling for $19.99. Now, this looks like an action Metroidvania with an art style that once again fits right into my wheelhouse. And on top of it, you're playing as an ancient kung fu warrior. I love martial arts main characters. So I do think that this game, and visually you're going to see in a few seconds, it looks like it is done with high quality pixel art. The gameplay looks fun, fluid. Let's take a look at the trailer. I'm going to stop talking about it. Let's let the trailer speak for itself. And most likely we're going to play this on Friday. So I personally am not familiar with the Twilight Monk book series, but it is definitely one that depending on how good the game turns out to be, maybe one I'm going to check out. I love the whole dynamic of an overworld map as well with different levels. It has an almost dark Castlevania-esque feeling to some of its levels. And there we have Twilight Monk. Like I said, it looks like a hand-drawn pixel art style, but it is visually appealing. To me, visually, it's like a 10 out of 10. It has a beautiful art style, beautiful presentation. If the gameplay can match it, we will most likely be looking at another excellent action platformer or Metroidvania. The one thing I'm not sure that it hasn't said on the gameplay is I'm not sure if it's going to have the format of a Metroidvania where we're going to have to revisit areas or more of a straightforward progression. That's something I'm going to figure out when I'm playing the game. I try to always react to these trailers based on what I can see in the trailers and not by doing a ton of research aside, just so you know, because I want this to really be like, okay, what can we tell from these games? The only thing I look into is what other games the developers have sometimes worked on to tell us, are we looking at something with high potential or, are we taking a chance here? And I don't know, but one way or the other, we're going to figure this out most likely on Friday. So if you are available for Friday, show up to the stream. We're going to be playing Twilight Monk with a 90%, 90% we're going to be playing this game. Like something has to go sideways or I have to get access to an amazing other game to play something other than this. So definitely, I think could be a good pickup for this week at $20. If it delivers on the gameplay, it's also priced very aggressively. Feels good for this quality of art style. If the gameplay can deliver, it's going to be a great pickup at that price. Okay, we've got a couple of games left, and now we are finally leaving March 6th. We're heading to March 7th, and our first game for March 7th is going to be Sugardew Island. Now, this is a cozy farming slash business running game. So a basically sort of mix of running a shop and farming. So, and it will be releasing, like I said, on March 7th, and the sales price for this one will be $16.99. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about this game. I do think it's very heavily geared towards the chibi art style, farming sim type of player. Personally, at the moment, I'm a little played out in the genre, so I don't think I'll be checking this one out. But for someone who's looking for a new game in the genre, I heard a lot of good things and potential about this one. And I think it's important to highlight it for this week because I think there's a huge audience for these games out there. Sorry about that, hit the microphone. And it nonetheless is a game that looks like it's done with quality in the genre. So let's take a look at the trailer and see what the game has to offer.
Welcome to Sugardew Island, your cozy farm shop. A cozy haven where you can relax, unwind, and find the perfect escape from daily life. Take care of your farm and gather resources.
Like, obviously, you
Open
can
your
see
own
the
little
Animal
farm
Crossing
store
influence
and
here.
sell goods to the adorable forest folk. Restore harmony by fulfilling small orders for the harmony tree. care for your animals and build meaningful bonds with them. Enjoy a stress-free experience with no in-game time and a turn-based day-night cycle. And, if you wish, give love a chance. See you soon at...
Oh yes, there's even relationship building. So, I mean, it's gonna be one of those games that if you're into the genre, I think it's going to be a quality offering. At $16.99, it also puts it up at a pretty decent price, because a lot of these different farming sims, the companies try to sell them at like way too much, and when you're competing against something like Stardew Valley, like you really have to either be offering something completely new or you have to be at a competitive price point. This one is. So if you're into the genre, I think it's going to be an interesting pickup for this week. Once again, you can maybe wait for a review or two to just see how deep the gameplay gets and it doesn't become too repetitive and simplistic. But that might be the only pitfall here that you have to watch out for. If not, I think it's going to be a significant pickup for this week for anyone into the genre. Now, last and definitely not least for our list, we have Uragun. Now, Uragun is a twin-stick action game where you basically it's a mech game as well. You're basically piloting a mech, and I've got to say, for the twin-stick shooter genre, the top-down genre, this one has me pretty interested. Unfortunately, not enough to unseat the other games that I mentioned that are on my high list for this week, but definitely one that I think nonetheless should be checked out, especially if you're into the action twin-stick shooter genre. And rather than the pixel art game that you saw earlier, you're looking for a more high visual game. I think this one could be a very interesting pickup for this week. Now let's take a look at the gameplay and see what we're dealing with. Oh, by the way, sorry, my bad, I just forgot. This one's selling also for $9.99. Once again, extremely competitive and aggressive price point.
They believe it's their time to rule. But we will prove them wrong. You will travel to every corner of this planet. You will grow faster and stronger. You will fight the corruption.
Like I said, the visuals look intense in this one. The action looks fun. And I think that for a $10 twin-stick shooter, this one looks like it could have some potential to be a pretty fun game for this week, especially if someone's looking for a game to jump into quickly and have a little bit of fun without the gameplay getting too deep and too intense. I still think there's going to be a decent level of challenge here, but I don't think it's a game that you're going to have to maybe invest hundreds of hours into to get a good outcome. Now, as promised, I also have one last thing to discuss with you guys, and this is the game that I think you need to be wary of for this week. Now, I don't like bad-mouthing games before I've played them, but I did play the demo for this game, and I do think that the reason why I'm saying that this is a avoid or be wary of game is that the visuals will most likely attract a great deal of people, because the visuals look extremely good. But when I played the demo, I just want to say maybe they've updated the game and it changed from the demo. The controls were very floaty, not pleasant, and the gameplay was very buggy and glitchy. And that is Morkull Ragast's Rage. Now, there is a demo available on the eShop. You can download it and play it for yourself, or you can wait for a review. But this game, just to tell you, we're going back to March 6th. It is also releasing on March 6th, and it'll be selling for $17.99. They've also made a physical version of this game. And I just want to warn, like I said, visually, this game is going to look extremely appealing. It is the gameplay that worries me here. Let's take a look at the trailer and you'll understand. It is a Metroidvania done with a hand-drawn art style. Disaster Games. Now, I don't know if you guys remembered, but I played this demo on stream. The stream was just not named after this game because I played it as a side game. So I can't find the stream that I played it, but I did play this one on stream. But you understand why I'm saying that I wanted to mention this game for this week? Because if you look at the visuals, they look extremely appealing. They look very Hollow Knight influenced. And I don't want anyone to get caught up in that, buy the game, and then be extremely disappointed. So that's why I'm taking the time to do an avoid or be wary. Now, like I said, I do want to be fair with the developer though. They could have fixed the bugs and the problems with the gameplay. So if you are looking at this game, before taking my word for it, because I haven't played the final product, I want to repeat that. I have not played the final game. Wait for a review, definitely for this one, before dropping your cash. I'm pretty sure someone's going to be reviewing the game. I do know there are review codes out there available. Wait for a review. If they fix the gameplay, it could be a very interesting pickup. But if the gameplay is like it was when we streamed it, personally, this would be a pass for me. There are so many better Metroidvanias, especially at the around $20 price point of this one being at $17.99, that I would definitely invest in one of those other games before this one. Okay? So that is pretty much it for this week's new Nintendo Switch games. As usual, I want you to let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this week's list. Which game has you most excited? Also, if you think I missed out on any of the games that are coming out this week that I should have highlighted, you can leave it in the comments down below as well. I love hearing about games that I maybe missed out on or that didn't manage to catch my attention. As usual, if you did like the video, don't forget on the way out to hit that like button. Subscribe if you aren't already and click on the notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, I hope I'll see you guys in my next video.